So do you feel like this fight per se and the tweet, um, it just couldn't be possibly like, hey, let me get this big opportunity because it might not be there, and
Why,
you.
why wouldn't it be there if you think you're gonna win?
Mm. Well, this is kind of ruling off of like what Jake wants, right?
I can rule off
I
Jake
think,
one. If you say you the man and you running boxing, you the face of boxing, how somebody else gonna run what you doing?
but you seen Jake's numbers, right, or what he's selling, right?
I'm selling what? What you talking about?
Tickets, pay per views,
I mean, he sold out arenas, right? That's not pay per view. This Netflix. He
right,
had
right,
a
right,
deal in place. I know something. It's not no pay per view.
exactly.
But if you
But
sell, if he sell, if this, you don't think this was one of the most anticipated fights to be made after that first fight?
yeah,
If he promoted that fight like he's supposed to or should have, it could have done crazy numbers. Then the bag is still big as what huge for him. So he chose to fight Jake. That's on him. That's his decision. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is at this point. Um, that's the route he wanted to go. If he thought he can beat us, he'd have fought us and then fought Jake.
yeah, because he mentioned talking about fighting. I'm talking about Jake Paul mentioning fighting Anthony Joshua, Canelo Alvarez, all these names, and those are big names, right? Why not have an opportunity before doing that? Fight a Javante Tank Davis, a guy that's only 135 pounds, great, huge name in the sport. Then move on to some of these giants, as far as guys that are that have the size per se.
But
No,
that's his script. That's his path. He's in charge of what he want to do. With the other person on the other side in charge of what they want to do. He can
yeah,
care less what the other guy want to do. It's about what he want to do. Jake can have all his plans in the world, and that's his plans. Ain't nothing wrong with it. But if he talking to me, I'm gonna do my plans first. He gonna have to wait, or we gonna make it right, or we gonna fight. They could have fought
but
right
maybe
after
those
March.
plans ain't 40 mil though. Maybe.
Hey, if 40 million on the table, either way, you heard Jake say after the fight, he fight he fight Roach again, and then we revisit it. He said that,
Mm.
so it wasn't never off the table. I mean, far as they said he had to run it back first, so I don't know what happened between them, but he could have fought him. Well, before March, he could have fought him in April, May, June, July. See, people got it twisted, thinking we was against it. We were against him saying he fighting us and holding us up for 6 or 7 months, and then try to break out the deal. You know what I'm saying? Any boxer, any person in that position to feel the same goddamn way. They can say what they want. They lying if they telling you something different. Ain't nobody gonna sit back and let somebody just change course like that on them and break a contract, man. You know what I'm saying? Because 6 or 7 weeks, that was our biggest moment right after that fight. We could have fought somebody. He could have fought somebody, and then we could have met back up. Just say you're gonna fight that guy. Don't play no fucking games, man. That's all. That's all. That's just business. So everybody wanted to
Yeah.
fight us after that fight. And bad enough, we ain't even had the belts, which we should have had. Then how much leverage we got with that belt?
Mm.
A two-division champion coming up fighting somebody different. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot involved in it. But like, at the end of the day, he fighting Jake, we fighting Pitbull, man. And so I know them questions come up, and you my guy, somebody answer them for you, but we passed that, man. I can care less what Tank doing right now, and if we fighting him again, all that stuff. Like, we worry about Pitbull, and then there's a lot of fights after that.
Yeah, yeah. Because like you said, highly anticipated rematch, and obviously, there's so many people that just still want to see it. You know what I mean? And I understand it. Um, but we're here now, obviously, and then in that your rematch, this was a draw, so it said what? Like if lose and draw, you get a
Yeah,
rematch.
they exercise the right. They exercise the option to rematch us, which holds us up once they say, "Hey, we fighting you again." So we
Yeah.
got this amount of time to make this fight. So we can't move. We can't do nothing. A lot of people online talking about he should move past him. He should do. They sound like fools. We can't move. We locked in a contract. So we got to do what they exercise. So we waiting on the date. We supposed to for June 21st. They pushed it back to August 16th. That's how it was. It was always going to be a fight.
Yeah.
Supposedly a fight. So, if they wanted to fight Jake after the fight, fight Jake. Don't exercise the option was. Say, all right, we're going to fight Jake. And then we can revisit next fight. Or we ain't going to fight Jake and this person revisit. But let us do our thing.
So it was more about how they went about doing the business per se.
Yeah. You deal with you deal with fighters. You're not going to let your fighter sit down and be held up or just walk away if somebody held your fighter up for 6 months. Keep it a buck.
You wasn't appreciated to be stalled, stalling your
Yeah.
career.
Stalling our career. So, nah, I mean, you're not just doing that. You know what I'm saying? It's consequences to that. You got contracts for a reason. That's why you sign contracts.
Hmm.
And like I said, we've been made whole, so we good. We good over here.
Yeah. So, and it seems to me that you knock out Pitbull Cruz. You know what are all the questions gonna be? If this is a clear win between you guys and Cruz, what are the questions gonna be? Let's be honest here. They're gonna be
So,
lead towards Tank again, aren't they?
probably so. You never. That's always gonna be questions, about that. And they're gonna say them the questions that they asking us, but they're gonna say we talking about them. But they at them questions people asking.
Hmm.
We don't go talking about him. They ask us questions.
The press conference. It was
The press conference
basically
said.
the press conference was basically Tank's name throughout the whole press conference, talking about, hey, what do you think about his fight with Pitbull Cruz? Asking Pitbull Cruz, what do you think about Lamont? You know, you guys ain't fighting Tank.
Yeah. It's gonna happen. You asking 10 questions now. So
Right, right, right.
it's right. That's what reporters do.
Yeah.
That's what they do. You know what I'm saying? So it is a topic. It is something they want to get their likes and views up and want to know what's going on, So, but it was a lot of questions about Pitbull Cruz and that fight out there. It was a real good press conference. And it's a lot on the line for both fighters, man. We ready for it.
Obviously, like, do you feel like that has helped the status as well of building certain fights like this fight per se?
What you mean by that? You said help the stats.
Obviously having Tank as that topic for the press conference. Like, do you feel like that's the selling point of
No.
this?
The selling point is Pitbull and Roach. I don't think it's no
Right.
selling point. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people, they say they don't even want to. They complain about the Tank question. Maybe the Tank fans do, but it's not no selling point. The selling point is two fighters going at it. That's gonna make for a great fight. That's the selling point. Pitbull is action packed. They see what Lamont can do, so they know these styles mesh with each other, and they're gonna be a great fight. So that's the selling point.
Right. Right. Obviously, even to the coaches, they felt like, everybody that fights Tank becomes more irrelevant. Obviously you heard, the comment, and what's your thoughts on that situation, because now that the press conference is here, that comment was like what, like a day before, 24 hours before.
Yeah, man. You be getting to it, don't you? Hey, but man, ain't nobody think that's some bullshit comment, cheap shot. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody fight a fighter on a different platform, gets a little bit more notoriety being on it. If they, especially our performance got us where we at. We showed up and showed out, man. So that's simple as that. That's why we somebody. We always somebody before we start boxing. And when we after boxing, we was a world champion. So that's just talk, man. That's just try to downplay somebody. At the end of the day, I don't know, Calvin trying to get back in Tank good graces or something, man, and saying what he need to say, man. But maybe it was worded wrong or came out wrong or whatever. But I ain't tripping off none of that. Actually, if he was somebody, why you wasn't the number one in the corner when we fought?
Mm.
So do I call him a nobody? You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna shit on that man like that. You know what I'm saying? So, Calvin can cut that bullshit out. We know we go too far back for him to be talking like that. Cause I got some shit that I can say too.
Mm.